Be very careful of men who will not stand up to their own mother on your behalf. Those men are cowards. Look at my dog. I swear to God, he thinks this is his chair. We have to share it. Look how he crosses his paws, though. Like, so this thing in the New York Times made me think of this. It's a perfect example of one, men should not be writing advice columns because they never fully understand the context of anything that doesn't come from their very limited perspective. Like, write one for a men's magazine, bro. Like, this is, you clearly do not understand patriarchy or mother-in-laws or the way that men are cowards. The other thing is that this right here is a very huge red flag. I'm sorry that she maybe did not seem to realize this whole dynamic until she was married, but just look. My husband and I married 2 years ago. I chose to keep my name. Good for you. Women should do that more. I'm not judging women who don't. In the US, it is so normalized, but around most other countries in the world, that's bonkers. They're like, what? What do you mean you lose your name? What do you mean like no one can find you ever again because you literally have to change your name? That does not happen in most parts of the world. I don't know why it is such a big deal in the US, but it is. Want to do it? Great. And I hate that. I hate that it's a big deal when women don't change their name. Anyway, so she kept her name. She says her husband respects it. She even understands people who don't know she didn't change her name when they just assume that she took his name, because that is how common it is. It's like such a big deal if you don't take his name. That is like how normalized this is in the United States. And again, this is not like normal around the world. I kept my name, and actually that's the default in France. Everyone keeps their name. Like, anyway, the problem is my mother-in-law, who does know, still addresses me by my husband's name every time she sends a card or letter. My husband spoke to her the first time it happened. He told her that I kept my name. She seemed fine with it, but she continues to use the wrong name. She's also very sensitive. Okay, we know what that means. We know what that means, right? This is most likely a toxic boy mom. A mother who is maybe a little bit or a lot enmeshed with her son. Is, living out patriarchy through her son because she is trying to force her daughter-in-law to get in line. Take his name. Just take his name. Why does it bother you so much? Why do you care? Mother-in-laws who have not been doing the work on themselves and who have some twisted relationship with their sons will torture any woman that man marries. If she's very sensitive, that means that she probably is playing all kinds of mind games and triangulation crap and whatever, right? Like, the queen baby doesn't like to be challenged, so she's sensitive. Anyway, so the man who responded to this, I don't disagree with all this, but like, he's like, I received the same question right down to the mother-in-law's sensitivity about 20 times a year. I used to wonder about the motives of these mothers-in-laws, thinking that might crack the case. Dude, it's really not that hard. What is it with these mother-in-laws? Anyway, because a woman's decision to keep her name has been common for decades. I don't know about common, but like accepted somewhat. Remember, this is New York Times, so we're talking about U.S. Americans here. Now, I no longer care about the motivation. Your name may be an important part of your identity, and your mother-in-law's sensitivity does not entitle her to misname you. I agree with that. This is the part I have an issue with. If this bothers you, call and politely remind her to use your legal surname. And then this nonsense. To all the women who did not correct their mothers-in-laws and who will write to say it's not worth it, that was your choice. Not the only choice. Dude, shut up. Stop. I would like to give different. I am not a columnist for the New York Times, although I should be, right? I would gladly take that job. What I would say is make your husband do it. Your husband should be going to bat for you every single time against his mother. If he is not willing to do it, he's a coward. Every time you give one of these boy moms an inch, they will take a yard. Every time that son does not stand up to his own mother and whatever messed up agenda she has, he's throwing his wife under the bus to keep the peace because he's a coward. So I personally do not ever have this issue. I love my mother-in-law. She adores me. Adores me. I'm like, I didn't realize that I could be loved so much by someone else's mother. And I was talking to Anthony about this a couple weeks ago about, boy moms and like how a lot of people I know, like, have really struggled with mother-in-laws, especially U.S. Americans or just anyone who immigrates to France. You're going to be spending a lot of time with mom. You are going to spend so much time with that family. You don't even know. Every Sunday, 4 hours at lunch, at least. Same thing in Italy, apparently, and Spain. You are spending a lot of time with his family, especially because you're so far away from yours. And families are like this over here compared to what a lot of us are used to in the United States. I also just have more vacation and free time, so of course that's going to happen. And he was telling me that even his parents didn't really like his last girlfriend. He has a very good relationship with his parents. And they didn't really say anything or do any of this nonsense. He knew that they didn't like her. He just set the tone right out of the gate that he doesn't care. He's like, yeah. Like, I was prepared to go to battle if they ever tried to talk me out of dating her or whatever. Because he understands that, like, it is so uncomfortable to marry into another family or even date into another family and have mommy hate you. Like, I sometimes feel like a little left out with my in-laws only because of the language. I am learning the language, but they speak really fast and cut their words more and also have a little bit of like a stronger accent because they're in the countryside in a little village. And yet, despite the language, literal language barrier, I feel so loved and accepted. Way more so integrated into this family and loved and accepted into this family, despite a language barrier, than it seems like is normal for most women who don't have a language barrier. Parents are not always going to like the people that their kids date. They also should respect those kids enough to let them make terrible decisions because it usually backfires anyway. But with men, and because of patriarchy, and because of women's own internalized misogyny and how that plays out with mother-in-laws, so many men will let these two women duke it out for him. And it's classic like triangulation, and it's what narcissists do. And the man doesn't even have to be a narcissist to do this. They just are. They so don't want to lose all the benefits that each woman gives them. So they just tap out and let the women fight. Don't do it. Don't do it. Make him fight for you. And like one of my mutuals, I'm going to tag her, says she does a lot of content about decentering your in-laws. That is not your family. You may have married into that family, but you have your own self. You did not lose yourself. They did not buy you like they did back in the day. There was no dowry. They don't have rights to you. They don't get to tell you what to do. If this man loves you and wants to be with you, he has to deal with them, not you. You should not be fighting with his mother. That's him. It doesn't mean you can't talk back to her and stand up for yourself, but he should be on the front line, making your life and your relationship with them as easy as possible, not harder because of his own cowardice. Someone get me a job as a columnist, please.